Hey everybody, welcome to a PokerNews podcast. It's Calum here with Wolfgang Poker.
What's
Uh,
up?
Wolfgang has just become the first poker vlogger to hit 1 million subscribers. Congratulations!
Thank you,
What a feat
Calum.
that must have been.
Thank you. Yeah, it was pretty surreal. 4 years in the making, but this past year has gone absolutely parabolic, and that's why we're doing an interview right now. You want to hear the sauce, how it happened.
It's an absolutely unbelievable feat for obviously what is such a niche industry just to be hitting those milestones. But before we get into that, I think it'd be really interesting to find out what life was like for you before poker. You just told me you grew up in Chicago and then moved to LA. What was before poker for you?
Yeah, so I lived in Chicago up until 18, and the normal stuff there. Went to high school, played some soccer for an academy team. Thought I was gonna be a soccer player until I realized that, that wasn't in the cards for me. No pun intended. And then I went out to California and went to school at Pepperdine for 4 years. And it's a Christian school, so it's hard to find people that wanted to play poker there. But I found a crew that would play some like 25 cent, 50 cent games, and then on the weekends we would drive like 3 hours to an Indian casino because they were 18 and older. But yeah, I mean, before poker, I was just in Chicago doing my thing, playing some soccer. But poker has been kind of a part of my life ever since I was like 12. In Chicago, I used to play in this home game with my buddy Randall and Reese that put me onto it. And ever since then, I won a flip. It was like a $5 flip, like 6 ways. It wasn't even poker. And I scooped the pot. I ran upstairs. I told the parents, and I'm like, I won 30 bucks. And like the funny thing that everyone says is like, you never want your friend to win their very first blackjack hand or like poker hand or something because they're gonna think it's way too easy and get hooked. Kind of what happened to me, but luckily, I don't know, the games I was playing in were just not massive enough to really like cripple me. So yeah, I definitely got hooked early on, and then I'd play like once a month with friends in the basement. Then I went to college, I played like once or twice a month, like at this Indian casino. And yeah, I can get more into like when I started my channel and stuff, but that's kind of like before the vlog. Yeah, I made it out to California. I never wanted the 9 to 5. So when I graduated, I was posting videos about other things, and one of them went pretty viral. I was like a prank video I made in LA, and some guy that was a filmer for a very, very large channel that goes by Vitaly. He's like this Russian prankster. He hit me up. He's like, "Oh, we love the way that you edited your prank video. Vitaly needs a new editor. Would you want to do that for a little while?" And I said yes. So I snap took that and I was his editor for a year. And that was kind of a good transition into doing my own content for poker and stuff. But yeah, poker's always been kind of a part of my life ever since I was like super young.
And is that because of like family playing it around like the table for like say Thanksgiving, for example, or was it a case of seeing like ESPN, WSOP on there?
Yeah, it was never my own family. Maybe once in a while I'd turn on the TV and stuff, but I actually didn't have cable growing up. So yeah, parents didn't want that for some reason. So it was really just my friends in the northern suburbs of Chicago that put me onto the game. They were degenerates and they wanted to play like once a month, and that was my reprieve. I'd go up there and gamble a little bit, and it was really fun. They were running like a casino in their basement, but that was pretty fun.
So then obviously then we're now editing, we're now going into poker. So where did the idea for poker vlogging come? Did you have any inspirations at the time? Were you watching the
Yeah.
likes of sort of like Andrew Neem or Brad Owen before you started?
Yeah, so I definitely had a few inspirations. So back in like 2018 to 2019, that's when I was editing for Vitali. And I was playing 2-3 at the Bicycle Casino in LA and then some 1-3 at Agua Caliente down in Palm Springs. And in while I was editing, I was also watching videos and stuff, trying to get better. And the people that I would watch was originally the Trooper. So if the OG people know the Trooper. And then Andrew Nemi was a huge catalyst for me just seeing the cinematic aspect of it and just more poker stuff. Because Trooper was just like his day-to-day life in Vegas, which I found entertaining. Because at some point I was like, oh, maybe I'll move to Vegas and like play poker. Luckily, that never was in the cards for me. But then Andrew gave the more cinematic aspect of it. And then I ended up meeting Mariano at the bike before he started his channel. And then once I saw him blow up, I'm like, okay, I already know how to edit from Vitali. And I see the path to me making my own content with poker because I understand how to play it, albeit at a really bad level back then. But I was excited to post content. So I kind of merged the two. And ever since then, I didn't look back playing. And no one had permission back then to film. So it was pretty common to get kicked out of places. And Yeah, and it was just kind of stressful. Like you didn't really have the ability to just walk in there and set the camera up and like take out a Canon camera like you can now. So you definitely there was a lot more challenges back then, but that's kind of what made it rewarding. When I posted a video and I'd get like 10K views back then, I was like, holy crap, like 10,000 people are want to watch me play poker at a really poor level. But yeah, those are kind of my inspirations. And then since then, I've obviously picked up things from other big creators like thumbnails from like Mr. Beast and like all that kind of stuff. But in the beginning, yeah, it was pretty much the Trooper and Andrew Nemi that got me going.
Yeah, see, like I remember watching like the Trooper and the first Andrew Neem vids, and I think funnily enough, I think I found one of your videos. I think even at the time when you were just sort of on like 8,000 or 9,000 subscribers, because I think sort of like when that would have been starting. I think is when I just first started getting into poker myself. I was a late arrival in terms of the poker scene, but like well, as you know, it's like once you're bitten by that bug, there's no letting go.
Hmm.
So obviously you mentioned the likes of Mariano, Poker Beast, and I know you're quite good friends with Ethan as well. So when you were say on the come up, so to speak, in the YouTube street, so were you guys quite tight in like sort of sharing tips and everything?
Yeah, so I would say that me and Ethan, aka Rampage, he's probably my best friend inside of the poker vlogging space. He's just like a very genuine person, easy to travel with, and yeah, just a super down to earth guy, like one of the nicest people I've ever met, even outside of poker. And so it just makes it easy to collaborate and like do stuff with because we're both on the same path. He's on, an Energizer Bunny, accelerated path, but I'm just trying to, ride his coattails a little bit and, win a tournament at some point. But yeah, we would share some secrets and, kind of what we found, like what times of day to post and like what thumbnails were working. Like back then, we didn't think thumbnails were so important. We're like, oh, I just post a picture of my chip stack. There really no time needs to be put into it, and it does well. Whereas now you can kind of see when you type in poker on YouTube, everyone has these like professionally done thumbnails like kind of like the Hustler or like the Lodge, like these very professional ones. And the vloggers have kind of seen the importance of doing that because the click-through rate is very important when it comes to like recommending your videos. But yeah, I mean, there's not too much that needs to be shared because you kind of figure everything out on your own anyways. But yeah, some little secrets here and there we'll share with each other. But that just becomes a like friendship. And I never feel like when I'm chatting with Ethan specifically, it's like a business thing. It's always just like everyone's trying to help each other out because we're all on the same path. And what's that phrase? A rising tide lifts all ships. So if you're not selfish, you're going to get rewarded, if not in the short term, in the long run. So you can never be greedy and to try to like gatekeep stuff from other people because eventually everyone's going to figure it out. And I've kind of had to take that mentality recently with the shorts as they've blown up because people have kind of like copied and pasted literal like things that they've seen that we've done really well, and my editor will message me like, oh, I just implemented this new thing, and like the next day I see that them using the exact same sound effect or the exact same like meme that we use. But I have to remind him, and he's good about it too. I don't have to do too much reminding, but it's like everyone's on the same path here. We don't own that meme, we don't own that sound effect. And so if it helps get more people into poker and more people are using it to post, that's just gonna be good for the games. The games are gonna be softer. The tournaments are gonna get more entries. And so that's the way I look at it. I'm never like salty or selfish if someone jacks my stuff. Now, if someone takes a piece of my content and starts a new poker page, which happens on TikTok a lot, now that makes me a little salty, which is why we buy Mudkip card protectors and we put them in all my videos. And that way they're kind of like my fun way of having a watermark. So people know that that's my video, not, you know, Mike Poker who's posting all of Wolfgang's videos.
Just sort of described what you do to combat sort of imposters, so to speak. And then the one thing I wanted to touch on as well was the shorts and reels. So obviously over the last couple of years, you built up, a brilliant audience of sort of like that 90,000 to 100K mark of subscribers on YouTube. And then the channel sort of like over the last 6 to 8 months has absolutely exploded, like, tenfold, quite literally. Um, how did you do that?
Yeah, so like a year and a half ago, I started posting on TikTok when it became more apparent that that app was staying around. And so I kind of found a really large audience on TikTok early on. I grew that page up to 200K at its peak. And that was like back when I had a huge market share. There was only like me and one other uh, creator really posting on TikTok back then. But the thing with TikTok is they're a Chinese app or at least I think they used to be. I don't know what they are now, but they would kind of like not understand gambling. So when I'd go live, I'd always get taken down. And then when I'd post stuff, I'd always get like restrictions and like strikes and stuff, essentially. And so what ended up happening was, I mean, I'm always going to post my same stuff because it's not crude. I'm not swearing. I'm not doing anything illegal. I'm playing in legal card rooms. Just maybe it's not, legal for them in China. But yeah, my page ended up getting taken down, and that was kind of a bummer. But I kind of fell in love with making shorts, and I saw like the amount of views you could get because it was based on view duration. And when you're posting a 45-second video, your view duration is naturally going to be really high because everyone wants to see the outcome of the hand. Like no one wants to see pocket aces and see if you and then just cut off halfway through. They want to see the result of the hand, which is just so like a cheat code for view duration. So they always did well. And then when I picked up my editor Lucas about a year ago, he was really good with like Final Cut and specifically Adobe Premiere, which is an editing software. So he's like, okay, you're editing directly on the TikTok app. I can make these 100 times better. You just give me the raw file, and we're gonna come up with these like AI videos and like these graphics and motions and all this kind of stuff. And once we did that, it really catapulted. I mean, I was getting millions of views on TikTok already, but when I was reposting them on YouTube, I wasn't finding quite the success. But once he started editing them like and spending hours on each short, then it just went ballistic. And yeah, we went from, I think earlier this year I was under 100K subs, and now we're over a million and growing like 4,000 subs a day. So it's just pretty absurd, like 100K a month. I don't know if that's sustainable, but I'm gonna keep posting videos until YouTube tells me, that the content sucks. So yeah.
Ride the wave while it's there.
Yeah.
So, looking at one of your videos from where you we celebrating the 1 million subs, some of the numbers these shorts were pulling in absolutely blew my mind. Your top video is, just shy of 83 million views. The top five collectively is like 250 million. Like, do you have to pinch yourself in those moments?
Yeah, it's pretty absurd. And so like on a daily thing, I just log into my analytics, and on the right side it shows me the amount of views I've gotten in the last 48 hours. So I always divide that by two and I see how much I've gotten in the last day. And recently it's been like 2 million views a day, which is just crazy. And so like I sometimes when we said it in the video, but like when you post a video, it'll give you a ranking on a scale of 1 to 10. And like recently I posted a vlog or something or short, and it started off at like a 9 out of 10. But it was like through the first 4 hours, it had like 70K views. So like now I've gotten so numb to the fact that like it was a 9 out of 10. I'm like, okay, that sucks. Like I was like down for like an hour. I'm like, well, what did we do wrong here? And then I look at the number. I'm like, wait a second, 70,000 people watched this video. Why am I sad about that? And like I got like a bunch of comments, and so you have to put it in perspective. So you're absolutely right, but you do get a little bit like numb to the insane growth over a long time. I know it's hard for people to conceptualize, but until you're in my shoes, it won't really make sense. But yeah, definitely, I'm the most appreciative person. Like I never take anything for granted. That's why I feel like my goal right now as a poker ambassador is just to keep posting videos. Like I'm getting recognized everywhere you could imagine from like really, really young people, like in high school. So that's the future of poker, right? If I can get those people into poker, and hopefully I don't create gambling addictions and make them lose all their money, but if I can get them to enjoy poker and get into the poker ecosystem, I mean that helps everyone. So yeah, but it's pretty absurd, like the amount of growth, like 4K subs a day right now, and like last week we were at like 13K subs in a day, but that's because a video went viral. But I have to pinch myself and think back to like 3 years ago when I was stoked to get 1,500 subs in a month, and now I'm getting 4K subs a day. The only caveat to that is those subs back then came from vlog views, and these are coming from shorts. And I kind of touch on that in the video, like the importance of vlog subs as opposed to short subs in the long run. Vlogs are like a little bit more important, but I mean, I'm not going to take anything away from it. Like the fact that everyone now is posting short stuff and no one is really growing at the same rate as my videos is, I have to take that for something and be like, okay, we're doing something right. We're like pioneering the short form content space. And so regardless of where the subs are coming from or how many people saying that I bought subs and I'm buying views and stuff, I have to like be like super appreciative like for everything, you know.
Yeah, for sure. Because obviously that was something that you addressed in your 1 million subs video about certain accusations of buying subs, and then you were there to show the receipts of how
Yeah.
that
And then I
that
still got comments on that million video saying like people that didn't watch the video, they just saw the million title and they just went and commented like, oh, this dude's buying subs. And I'm like, just watch the video, man. I laid it all out for you. Like I'm never gonna buy subs because buying subs just hurts you in the long run. Yeah, it makes you look cool in the short term, but like the amount of money you have to spend to keep that facade up is just absurd, A. And then B, you're hurting the algorithm because think about it this way, like on Instagram is the best way to explain it. If you buy like 10K followers on Instagram, what's going to happen? The algorithm, when you post something, the algorithm shows it to all of your, like a very small batch of your followers. And then depending on how they engage with that content is how many more people they're going to continue to show it to. So if you buy like 10K followers on Instagram and then they show your piece of content to like 5 of those dead accounts because they're not engaging, then Instagram's going to think you have a bad piece of content and it hurts your reach. So by buying followers, you're actually hurting your page in the long run. And a lot of people don't understand that. And just, if you look at anything with my channel, I clearly know what I'm doing with that. So I'm not going to buy subs and like hurt my reach when literally I just post a short every day and I gain 4K in subs. Like it makes no sense for me to buy subs whatsoever.
Well, here we go. Hopefully that's cleared it for once and for all
Yeah.
then. You and
They'll still say it. They'll still say it
well,
because I hate it.
let's hopefully there's a bit of luck and it doesn't rear its head again. One thing as well that I always find interesting about the shorts, especially the poker shorts, is that how do you choose a specific hand to use for a short? Like when do you know that something, yeah, that's the one that's going to pop off from the session, or is it a case of just a bit of luck?
Luckily I'm in Texas, so it just like content falls in my lap here. People just do crazy stuff, whether it be their play or their table talk, or I even had a guy at a local room here, shout out to Dan, who just ripped his shirt off at the table and just started swinging around like he was at like a college football game. And like obviously like most people in the country they don't see that kind of stuff, right? Or in Europe, definitely not, right? Everyone's like, super ABC out there, but like just content kind of falls in my lap out here in Texas. I definitely manufacture a lot of stuff, meaning like I'll engage with people. So if I look down at aces or if I look down at seven deuce or something, I'm going to try to chat up someone at the table to give my editor something to work with and give him some dialogue to go back and forth. And that's where a lot of our like scripts come from, is just like what he finds in the video, what he can pull out of. But I mean, it's for a content creator, like it's pretty hard not to make good stuff out here in Texas. It's just like the ability, like I can pull out a Canon camera and film if I wanted. I could bring a handle of alcohol into the room. Like you could do whatever you want, which is just like creator's paradise. Like some rooms, they're not cool with you doing that stuff, but if you build a good relationship with an owner of a card room out here, it's like it's worth more than like, I don't know, getting paid to play there. If you can just have the ability to film there, that's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, no, like, and obviously that's some great advice for some aspiring vloggers as well. Obviously, there'll be people that see your success, the like of Rampage and Mariano's success.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, just how important of create like curating those relationships and like sort of like what advice would you have for people who are like, look, I'd like to make this poker vlogging a source of income, maybe not as a full time, or even if it is just part time. What would be sort of like the top piece of advice that you give to those people?
That's a good question. Looking back, I would tell myself to make sure that I'm making content in a space that I enjoy. So originally I was making content in college, like kind of prank videos, and I liked it, but I didn't love it, right? And every day that I had to post something, I was like, crap, now what am I going to post today? And it was always like a creator's like roadblock, right? With poker, I just love it. Like I would go in and play regardless if I film or not, and I don't really care about the stakes just because I get the DGen tingles like every time I'm in the car driving to the casino, right? In my 4 year experience here, the first 2 years really like sucked in terms of content creation, in terms of like growth and stuff. And once I broke through that second year, then I started to get some traction. I got some sponsors that helped like alleviate some of the financial stuff, and then I started playing bigger games and winning some more. So that always helped. But in the first 2 years, like if I didn't like playing poker and making poker videos, I definitely would have quit. So you got to like what you do. And then the second thing is consistency. You got to keep posting. I don't think I missed posting a vlog in the 4 years that I've started this channel. Like I would post at least once a week, and now I'm doing like 2 to 3 times a week. So consistency is huge. Just because the algorithm will get used to when you post and they'll keep recommending it out to more people. In terms of relationships, I would say always be genuine. Nothing really good comes out of being fake or kissing ass with like people that you think could have a benefit towards you. If you're just a genuine person and you connect well with someone that's more famous than you, then that's great, right? But if you're really just trying to network and like kind of be a little bit slimy, that eventually that'll come out and it's just gonna hurt you more than it'll help you. So those would be my 3 pieces of advice. Love what you do. That's the most important. Be consistent with it and always be genuine. And I think anyone will have success with anything, not even just posting videos, any aspect of life. You can definitely take some stuff away from that.
Yeah, absolutely. Like that's some pretty sage advice, just sort of for sort of all walks of life. Sort of focusing now a bit more in terms of your poker goals. So a lot of your content is cash games. It's cash game, cash game, cash game, which is great. That's what people like. I love to see. But I understand you're going to the Bahamas and you played the for the WSOP Paradise. And I
Mhm.
understand you played the main event for the first time this year, this summer. Is that correct?
I did, yeah. That was cool.
And you managed to cash in that as well.
Yeah, I made day four somehow. I got a quadruple up on day one or two, I forget now, but yeah, that was absurd. I made it to day four and then ended up min cashing for 15K in my first ever main event. But I assume you're prefacing it by saying like, am I going to do more cash in 2024? Am I going to do more tournaments? The answer to that is primarily just cash and cool experiences that cash games lead me into. So if someone has a cool private game or some famous person is doing an event, I'll be the first person to go out there. But tournaments are a very good way to obviously build a bankroll quick. You can hit a big score like a lottery ticket, and they're also just like cool experiences. You meet a whole different sector of the poker world, and they're always in cool spots like St. Martin. They're in Barcelona, Prague, Malta, like Bahamas, all that cool stuff. So I love traveling. That's like another one of my big things. So if there's ever a poker tournament in a cool spot, you'll find me there. I'm never going to be a tournament grinder. I'm never going to play like 15 to 20 tournaments in a series and stuff, but I'll always pop into like a main event here and there and just try to take a shot. And it's good exposure for me as well. If I run deep and all these like news articles are posting about it, and if I ship a tournament, even better. Yeah, there's so much benefit to those, but they're a grind. I've met a lot of people here in Dallas that are just mainly tournament players, and the amount of like the amount of studying they have to do, it's a different game, and then the amount of like travel, and you can play for 2 days straight and then min cash and you make like $500. It's just a grind. That's the best way to put it. So that goes back to loving what you do. And I like to travel and I like to play poker. So you'll always find me in a main event a few times a year. But in terms of grinding tournament series, I don't think that's in the cards for me.
Yeah, it's one thing that like sort of go into like the EPT stops and the series, you see a lot of the same faces, a lot of the same grinders. And I do find myself like my heart bleeding for a few of these guys because we're sort of like watching them just grind it out for months and months and just lose continuous flip after flip after flip.
Yeah,
Like
that's the
you,
thing.
you do see like, it's just like the eyes start to like sink back further into the head and the look of defeat is paramount. Like I think anybody who does grind tournaments for a living is an
Yeah,
absolute.
you can only like get ace king in like 5 or 6 times and then lose to ace queen offsuit like so many times before you just go mentally unstable. Like you're just not built to like handle that kind of stuff. Like if you get it in 85% and lose that like 3 times in a tournament, it just like what? Like, it doesn't make any sense. But cash games, you just top back up and you get right back on your bike and eventually you're gonna get the fish. But tournaments, you're at a new table, you're rebuying back in, you're a whole different players at the table. So it's just I commend people that go for that, and if they love it, then that's great. But that is in very small batches for me. Otherwise,
Yeah.
I probably would be burnt out from poker by now.
So obviously then going with the Bahamas, taking a shot in the main.
Yeah, I'm gonna play the 5K main, obviously, and then a few of the smaller ones as well. I'm gonna play some cash games, make some shorts and videos out there. I'm really excited to meet some of the cool people, like the actual celebrities that they're bringing in, and other content creators, and just I've never been to the Bahamas. I've been to Aruba, but pretty close, but not the same. So I just want to like experience it and just have a vacation in December and get away from the cold for a little bit and yeah, just enjoy myself. You have to have balance in life, so that's a good way to, play poker. But when I'm feeling a little bit like it's too much stuff, too much content, too much grinding, just sit on the beach. And not everyone can do that, but like it's a good thing to take into, your day to day. You need to take a break. You can't always just be go, 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 because eventually you're gonna burn out.
Yeah, that sort of leads me on to sort of like the next thing I was going to ask is like when the phone's put away and the camera shutter is closed, what does Wolfgang do for fun away from the poker table?
That's a good question. Let's think. So twice a week I play soccer. I used to play on an academy in high school, and then I played club all for 4 years of college. So soccer or football for the European viewers is something huge in my life. I really like sports, so I'm always traveling to like college football games, especially. I really like NFL games now. I actually played poker with the Buffalo Bills, which was pretty sick. But I love sports. And then I'm a huge foodie. My girlfriend and I, we love food. And so, yeah, we're always looking for that new spot and just kind of trying different ethnicities and, expanding our palette in that aspect. But yeah, soccer. I used to play baseball growing up, but I haven't gotten back into that. I think softball might be in the works maybe next year when it gets a little bit warmer out. I might join a softball league. I used to surf when I was in California, but obviously there's no waves here in Central Texas. So Yeah, that's kind of not a thing anymore, but surfing's really fun. Love the ocean.
Looking in soccer, I'm a huge soccer fan. So I'm a big Arsenal fan. Obviously, being in Wales, I support the Welsh national team and follow them home and away. Who are your teams and what? Yeah, who are your teams? Who did you play for? Uh,
Okay, yeah,
and
for sure. So
who do you look
growing up,
up
I
to?
used to play for the Chicago Fire Academy team. That's like our MLS team in Chicago there. And then I went to college at Pepperdine. I played 4 years at Pepperdine. It was a club team because of Title IX, which basically, if you're not familiar with that, there has to be the equal amount of men's and women's opportunities in terms of teams. So because of that, we didn't have a men's D1 team, but our club team was very competitive. We played against like UCSB, USC, UCLA, San Diego State, like really big D1 schools. So that was fun. In terms of like professional, I follow Bayern Munich, just because I have family in Munich on my dad's side. That's where the Wolfgang comes from. It's my middle name, but uh, yeah, I follow Bayern Munich, and that's pretty much about it. I just like the sport in general. So other than that, not really following a team in specific. But if anyone out there is a professional footballer and they play poker, I will definitely be a fan of that team, and I would come out there for a game and some poker. So I'm taking applications for new football teams to support.
Now, let's say there's
There's my shameless plug.
like I say, there's definitely a few footballers who are absolutely loving poker at the moment. You've got like Neymar, who's obviously
Oh yeah, yeah.
with PokerStars. You've got Max Cruz, who was well, he played for he was in the German national striker for a time being, and I think was the captain of Wolfsburg, and he went and won a bracelet at the World Series of Poker Europe,
Oh
like
wow, I didn't know
maybe
that one.
yeah last year. I think he won the 1.6K six max. Yeah, it's quite a funny story of him. There was a situation where he ended up getting suspended from the team that he was playing for because he lost 75 grand in the back of a taxi playing on poker apps on
Oh geez.
yeah, so, but obviously, as a professional footballer, easy come, easy go. But yeah, no, thank you very much for your time today, Alex. That was a really good conversation, and yeah, just congratulations with everything that you're doing in the space. I think it's probably pretty mad, sort of like 10 years ago, what the landscape of poker was and how it is now, and like you guys like yourself and Mariano are bringing in the that next generation of poker players. So I
That's super
it's
cool.
there's a big thanks from people like myself who are employed by the media side of things and obviously all the sharks that are already there ready to
Yeah.
teach some new cats a lesson sort of thing. So yeah, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. It's been great to speak to you and all the best.
Thank you, man. Appreciate your time as well. And if I can just leave everyone with one piece of advice, it's just like go after what you're passionate about. If you're looking for like a motivational like push to start something new, this is it. You can always go back to like what you're comfortable with, but if you have this inkling to try something new and really like go out there, I Wolfgang says go for it, because you never know what can happen of it. It might take a few years to get where you want to be, but ultimately you got to be happy. And so if you're having this thing inside of you that's telling you to do something else, you're probably having a little bit of reservation in what you're doing already. So just go for it. And the worst thing that can happen is you fall on your back and then you have to get right back up. But confident that anyone can go after what they dream to do. So that's my advice there for everyone. But nice
That's
chatting
great.
with you, Calum.
Yeah, and sorry, just before you do go, it'd be rude not to ask where people can find you on social media. Obviously, it's Wolfgang Poker on YouTube, but what about Twitter, Facebook,
Yeah,
Instagram?
it's Wolfgang Poker pretty much everywhere. Yeah, Wolfgang Poker everywhere on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube, Facebook, and then on TikTok, it's Wolfgang Poker Bang because of all the fake accounts that have popped up. I could only get the Wolfgang Poker Bang page. So, yeah.